Welcome to the channel. It's Jack, the muscle and mobility maker with Stronghold Strength and Conditioning. And today, I'm going to be showing you how to improve the control and strength of your scapula. But before we get into it, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Saturday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine, and it doesn't get better than that. So take advantage of it. Ready? Let's go ahead and dive into this one. All right, like I said, today we're going to be diving into scapular control, or the overall strength and control over your shoulder blades. Now, when we're talking about the shoulder blades, these muscles around the shoulder blades that actually control the movements are coming from your cervical spinal column. We'll dive into a few more details as I talk through the exercises on which ones are doing what there and the muscles that are involved in each one as far as the control goes. But when we look at the movements overall, there are 6 scapular movements that we're going to be looking at to strengthen the control of today using some simple resistance band exercises. Those are going to be protraction, retraction, elevation, depression, and then upward rotation and downward rotation. So we're going to get all of those today in this video. I've got simple exercises that you can do with a resistance band, either from home or at the gym when you're going into a workout. And when we want to stabilize and control our scapula better, we're really talking about the stability of that main junction between our core and the system of our arms. So we're not only improving the core bracing that we have, or our core structure, we're also improving the stability that we have outward from that in the arms, through the elbows, the wrist, and you'll see a lot of benefits from just simply working on better scapular control and strengthening to your core and to your overall health of your arms. So if you're experiencing issues at the elbow, the shoulder itself here, the wrist, those things could be stemming from problems that are actually originating at your scapula and your lack of control there. So it's a place worth putting the effort into and really making sure that you're maximizing your control and strength in, and an area that we do lose control of regularly because of the positions we find ourselves on a daily basis. So well done, you're here. Let's go ahead and start looking at these exercises so you can now go ahead and start to strengthen those areas. All right, our first scapular movement is protraction. And protraction is when we're taking the scapula away from the spine toward the front of our body here, and we have resistance from the band in doing so. Here we're primarily using the serratus anterior muscle, which is innervated by the long thoracic nerve, which originates from your C5, C7 of your cervical spine. In this exercise, what you want to do is go to a tall kneeling position with the band at about shoulder height. We are trying to keep the arms as straight as you can possibly keep them as you're pressing out and removing those scapula from the spinal column, actually separating them off as rounding as you can in that thoracic spine. And that's okay if the thoracic spine does round as the scapula protract. That's a natural movement that should be combined here. You'll also see that I internally rotate my thumbs toward one another as I'm punching out, and then externally rotate as my arms come apart here, letting the scapula actually get pulled into a retraction on the other end and getting a stretch to the shoulders together. Next, we'll work retraction, so the opposite direction. This time we need the band in front of us. And when we're working retraction, we're predominantly using the middle trapezius and rhomboids, which are innervated by the dorsal scapular nerve at C5. So here we have that band anchored at about chest height. Once again, I am trying to keep my arms as straight as possible so that the movement is isolated to my scapula. I'm going to let the band pull me into that protraction this time and get a nice big stretch on that end, and then pull back and retract the scapula, giving a nice tight hug of the spinal column as much as possible. I'm trying to minimize any elevation at the scapula as I do this, and if anything, I want to depress the scapula down toward my mid-back at the same time here. So you can see the scapula come and hug the spinal column. I'm going to hold about 2 to 5 seconds most to feel that innervation and that activation of those tissues. And then I'm going to relax and go into a big stretch on the other end of it. Next, we're going to move to elevation of the scapula, and this is that lifting of the shoulder blades toward the ears. Elevation is primarily controlled by the upper trapezius and innervated by the spinal accessory nerve and branches of the cervical nerves. So here I have my band anchored under my feet, and I'm anchored around my wrist as well. So I'm stepping in the middle of the band, and I'm going to pull up against the resistance of the band, shrugging my shoulders to my ears for about 2 to 5 seconds, as strong as I can, and then relaxing and actually allowing the pull of the band to pull my shoulder blades down into depression as we go here. You'll get a big stretch at your traps on the top of your shoulders each time, as well as a nice big contraction each time you flex those shoulders toward the ears here. The opposite of elevation is our depression. So here we have a band anchored above us, and we're pressing the scapula down and away from our ears in this position. Now, depression is mainly driven by the lower trapezius and the lats, and it's innervated by the thoracodorsal nerve at C6 to C8 and the dorsal scapular nerve at C5. So with that band anchored above, here I'm focusing on, again, keeping my arms as straight as possible so the movement is coming from the scapula. The band is going to pull my shoulders up into my ears. I'm going to allow it to go there as much as I can, and then I'm going to press the scapula down into my mid-back as much as possible. Again, I want to keep my shoulders in line with my ears, so I'm really trying to work on that alignment of my shoulders in this position as I'm pressing that band away with each rep. You also get a big bit of tricep work going on here when you're pressing that band down at the same time. These are called scapular dips as well. Next, we have upward rotation of the scapula. So this is when the bottom of the scapula is moving upward and outward while the top of the scapula is rotating inward and downwards. You can kind of see that at the base of my shoulders as I lift up here. Upward rotation is primarily the serratus anterior and upper and lower trapezius that are involved, and it's innervated by the long thoracic nerve and the spinal accessory nerve. So here I have my band anchored around my ankles in a tall kneeling position. My glutes are tight, my abs are braced well, my thumbs are out. So I'm lifting, and as I bring that band overhead, you can't see it, we get cut off by the height of the camera here, but I am bringing my palms toward one another in that top position with a small rotation there. And lastly, we have downward rotation, which is the opposite of our upward rotation. So the bottom of my scapula are rotating inward and down as my top of my scapula rotates outward and up here. So we kind of get that circular rotation of our scapula as we're working. Here I have the band anchored overhead once again so I can pull down. I am pulling toward my glutes so that I am internally rotating behind my back, but I do want to pay attention to the alignment of my shoulders once again in this position, making sure I'm not rounding as I get into that bottom position. Now, downward rotation is primarily controlled by the levator scapula and the rhomboids, and it's innervated by the branches of the dorsal scapular nerve and the spinal accessory nerve here. All right, and there you have it. 6 simple exercises that you can add into your routine to help you improve your control over your scapula, overall strengthen them so that you have a stronger core and healthier shoulders and arms in the long run here. If you like this video, make sure you let me know by clicking that big thumbs up down below, and take a moment to share this one with a friend. Maybe they have some issues with their shoulders or down their arm. This would be a great place for them to start, so make sure you pass it along their way and share the love with them. If you're somebody who struggled with shoulder pain that's been limiting you from training the way that you want to, and you're ready for my direct help actually resolving that pain, what I want you to do right now is go down in the description, fill out the coaching application, and schedule your mobility blueprint call. This will be our opportunity to get on a Zoom call together so that I could first of all take you through a full assessment, gather the information I need to tailor a program specific to your needs, and then lay out for you in full detail on that call what that program is going to look like and answer any questions that you have. So if you're ready to have my direct help with your pain that's been keeping you from training at the intensity you want to in the gym or inhibiting you in your daily lifestyle and activities, then go ahead right now, get in that description, fill out that coaching application, and get that call scheduled, and we'll move you in the right direction. Last but not least, if you have not already, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Saturday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine. It does not get better than that. Welcome to the Stronghold Army. We'll see you next week.